Go to any hardware store right now. Walk to the lawn and garden aisle. Count the bottles. Roundup, Spectracide, Ortho, Preen. They want $14, $22, $38. Some of them have warning labels longer than the instructions. Some of them tell you to keep your kids and pets off the lawn for 48 hours after you spray. And every single one of them promises the same thing: dead weeds. Now walk over to the grocery aisle. Pick up a gallon of white vinegar, $1.29. Grab a canister of table salt, 50 cents, and a bottle of dish soap you already have under the kitchen sink. Total cost, under $2. That's the recipe. I'm not going to make you wait for it. 1 gallon of white vinegar, 1 cup of table salt, dissolved all the way, 1 tablespoon of liquid dish soap. Pour it in a spray bottle. Shake it up. Done. Now here's the thing. You've probably seen some version of this floating around the internet. Your grandmother might have used something like it on her patio. Pinterest is full of it. And you probably thought the same thing everybody thinks. Does this actually work? Or is this just another internet fairy tale that sounds good but kills nothing? This video answers that question. Not with promises. Not with a science lecture. With 8 specific weeds. One at a time. Spray by spray. Hour by hour. Day by day. We're starting with the ones that die in 12 hours and working our way up to the one that fights back for a month straight. Every weed gets a difficulty rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Every weed gets a timeline. Every weed gets a cost tag, down to the penny. And by the end, you'll know exactly which weeds fold on the first spray, which ones need a second pass, which ones need 4, and which one requires something the recipe alone can't give you: patience. One weed on this list is tougher than all the others combined. Remember that. We'll get there. But before we touch a single weed, 2 things you need to keep in your head. First, the salt in this recipe sterilizes soil wherever it lands. That's perfect for driveways, sidewalk cracks, gravel paths, fence lines, anywhere you never want anything to grow again. But if you're spraying near a garden bed or a lawn you actually care about, drop the salt. Use vinegar and soap only. No salt. Salt on hardscape, good. Salt in your garden, disaster. We'll come back to that. Second, timing. Spray on a hot, sunny day, above 70 degrees. Morning is best, so the sun has the whole day to do its half of the work. No rain in the forecast for at least 24 hours. Rain washes the mixture off before it finishes the job. The Amish spray on the first hot, sunny Monday in May. If it's cloudy, they wait. And they keep 2 jugs. Remember that. 2 jugs. I'll explain why later. Right now, weed number 1. Difficulty: 1 out of 10. And if you've ever doubted that a $2 spray bottle could kill anything, this one's about to change your mind in 12 hours. Crabgrass. You know it. That low, sprawling, pale green mat that shows up in every driveway crack and sidewalk joint by July, like it pays rent. Wide, flat blades fanning out from a central crown, hugging the ground, spreading outward, turning your concrete into a green mess. Here's what happens when you spray it. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Sun's already warming the pavement. You aim the nozzle at the base, right where the blades meet the soil. That spot is the crown. That's where crabgrass lives and dies. Soak it. 2-3 good pumps from the spray bottle. Move on to the next clump. By noon, the blades start to yellow. Not brown yet. Yellow. Like somebody shut off the water line. By Tuesday evening, the tips are curling brown. By Wednesday morning, the entire mat is toast. Brown. Crispy. Crunching under your shoe when you step on it.
One application, 12 hours from spray to dead. Crabgrass has shallow roots, thin leaves, and maximum surface area for the vinegar to burn through. Nothing about it resists this recipe. Nothing. Cost per square foot, about a nickel, 5 cents. A lawn care service would charge you $75 to $150 just to show up. You did it with a spray bottle and a puddle of vinegar that cost less than a pack of gum. Running total so far, 5 cents. Stay with me, because the next 2 weeds on this list are somehow even easier. Chickweed and purslane. If crabgrass was easy, these 2 barely put up a fight. Chickweed first. Difficulty: 2 out of 10. You've seen it, even if you didn't know the name. Low, tangled, bright green, with tiny white flowers and thin stems that sprawl across garden beds and shady patches of lawn like a net. It looks delicate because it is delicate. There's no waxy coating on the leaves, no deep root system, no tricks. Spray it Tuesday morning. By Tuesday evening, the whole mat is collapsed, wilted flat against the ground, stems gone limp, leaves darkening. By Wednesday, it's brown and done. One spray. Barely broke a sweat. Cost, 3 cents per patch. Running total, 8 cents. Purslane is almost as easy, but takes a few more hours. Difficulty, 2 out of 10. Purslane is that thick, low-growing weed with the reddish stems and fleshy little paddle-shaped leaves. It's a succulent, technically. Those leaves hold moisture. So when you spray it, the vinegar has to burn through a juicier leaf before it hits living tissue. Spray it heavy. Drench the leaves until they're dripping. The extra moisture in those succulent leaves buys it maybe half a day. Tuesday morning spray, and by Wednesday afternoon, it's flat and brown. 24 to 36 hours. One application. Done. Cost per clump, about 3 cents. Running total, 11 cents. 3 weeds down, 11 cents spent. And you haven't touched a single product from the lawn and garden aisle. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because every weed up to this point basically just laid down and died. Clover doesn't do that. Clover has a trick. And the trick is a waxy coating on every single leaf that makes the vinegar bead up and roll off like water on a freshly waxed car. So how do you kill something the spray can't stick to? Clover. Difficulty, 3 out of 10. Still on the easy side, but it's the first weed on this list that actually resists the initial hit. That waxy leaf surface isn't just smooth. It's a shield. You spray it, and for the first hour, the vinegar sits on top doing nothing. Beading up. Rolling off. If you didn't know what was happening, you'd think the recipe failed. But it didn't fail. The dish soap is working. That tablespoon of dish soap is a surfactant. It breaks surface tension. On clover, that means it cracks the waxy coating wide open. The soap peels back the shield. The vinegar follows it in. But this takes time. More time than crabgrass or chickweed. Here's the timeline. Spray Tuesday morning. Soak the leaves. Don't mist. Soak. By Tuesday evening, the clover looks wilted but still green. Like it's tired, but not dead. Wednesday morning, still hanging on. Wednesday evening, the color is draining. Thursday morning, brown. Collapsed. Done. 48 hours instead of 12. One application, but you need to drench it. Don't be stingy with the bottle. The difference between a dead clover patch and a clover patch that bounces back is how much liquid hit those leaves on day one. Cost, about 4 cents per patch. Running total, 15 cents. 4 weeds down, 15 cents. And so far, every single one has gone down with a single spray. But that's about to change. Because the next 2 weeds on this list introduce a problem the recipe handles differently. And it's a problem that lives underground.
Plantain and dandelion. This is where the game shifts from spraying to waiting. Plantain first. Difficulty, 4 out of 10. Not the banana. The weed. Broadleaf plantain. That rosette of tough, oval, leathery leaves with the thick veins running lengthwise. It sits flat against the ground, like a green dinner plate. You've walked past it 100 times without looking down. Plantain's defense is its leaf. Thick, rubbery, almost like a succulent but not quite. The vinegar has to work harder to penetrate that surface. Spray until the leaves are dripping wet, glistening. Then leave it alone and let the sun cook. Tuesday morning spray. Tuesday evening, the leaf edges are starting to brown, but the center is still green. Wednesday, more browning, curling at the edges, leaves going limp. Thursday morning, the whole rosette is brown and flat. 48 to 72 hours. On younger plants, one spray does it. On older, more established plantain with thicker leaves, you might need a second application a week later. That second spray usually finishes it. Cost, about 4 cents per plant. Running total, 19 cents. Now, dandelion. Difficulty, 5 out of 10. And this is the part that still trips people up. Because the dandelion is the first weed on this list where the leaves dying doesn't mean the plant is dead. Spray the dandelion rosette Tuesday morning. Hit the leaf surfaces, and especially the center of the rosette, where the new growth pushes out. That center is where the root sends its energy. By 6 p.m. Tuesday, the leaves are curling. By Wednesday morning, the whole rosette is brown and collapsed. Looks dead. Looks like a clean kill. Hold on. The taproot is still alive.
6 to 8 inches straight down, sometimes deeper. That root doesn't care what happened to the leaves. It's been storing energy all season, and in 7 to 10 days, you'll see it. A tiny new rosette of bright green leaves pushing up from the exact same spot. Don't panic. This is expected. This is how it works. Respray the new growth. Soak it. That second application hits a root that's already been weakened. It spent energy regrowing those leaves. Energy it doesn't get back. After the second spray, the regrowth dies, and this time the root doesn't have enough left in the tank to push up again. 2 applications, 10 days apart. Dandelion gone. Cost, about 6 cents per plant, counting both sprays. Running total, 25 cents. 5 weeds, a quarter. And here's where the recipe still handles everything with grocery store vinegar. But the next weed on the list doesn't just sit there and take it. It runs. Creeping Charlie. Ground ivy. Whatever you call it in your part of the country, it's the weed that spreads by runners along the surface of the ground, rooting at every node. A network that connects patch to patch like a web. Kill one spot, and the runner from 3 feet away sends up a replacement. Difficulty, 6 out of 10. And this is where I need to explain those 2 jugs. The Amish keep 2 jugs in the barn. One is grocery store vinegar, 5% acidity. That's the jug that handles crabgrass, chickweed, purslane, clover, plantain. The easy ones. The other jug is horticultural vinegar, 10 to 20% acidity. You can find it at any farm supply store for 8 to 12 bucks a gallon. 2. This is the jug for the weeds that fight back. 20% vinegar is a different animal. It burns skin on contact. It'll damage your eyes if you're careless. Gloves and eye protection. Not optional. Not a suggestion. Required. But on Creeping Charlie, it cuts the kill time nearly in half. Here's the battle plan. You don't just spray the leaves. You spray every visible node along every runner. Every spot where a stem touches the ground and sends down roots. That's a node. Miss one, and Creeping Charlie regrows from that point. Think of it like pulling links out of a chain. You have to break every link.
Spray Tuesday morning. By Thursday, the visible plant is brown and wilted. Looks like victory. But the runners you missed underground are already sending up fresh shoots. Week 2, spray the new growth. Week 3, spray whatever's left. By the end of the 3rd week, the network is broken. The runners are exhausted. 3 applications over 3 weeks. Cost, about 10 cents per square yard, counting all 3 rounds. Running total, 35 cents. 6 weeds behind you, and every one of them is dead or dying. But the toughest one is still waiting. Thistle. Difficulty, 8 out of 10. And if Creeping Charlie was a patient battle, thistle is a war of attrition. You know thistle when you see it. Spiny. Aggressive. Thick stem, prickly leaves that punish you just for brushing against them. It looks mean because it is mean. And underground, it has a taproot that goes 12 to 18 inches straight down. That root is the engine. Everything above ground is just the exhaust. Here's what the spray does. Tuesday morning, hit the rosette hard. Focus on the center, where the new growth pushes out. By Wednesday, the top leaves are burned brown. The stem is wilting. Looks like progress. But look at the base. Fresh green growth is already pushing through. The root felt the damage, and it responded by sending up reinforcements. This is where most people give up. They spray once, see the regrowth, and decide the recipe doesn't work on thistle. Wrong. The recipe works, but thistle doesn't die from one strike. It dies from exhaustion. Every time the root sends up new growth, it spends stored energy. Energy it built up over months. And every time you spray that new growth back down, you drain the account a little more. Spray once. Wait a week. Spray the regrowth. Wait a week. Spray again. By the 3rd week, the regrowth is smaller. Weaker. Fewer leaves. Paler green. By the 4th spray, nothing comes back. 4 applications over 3 to 4 weeks. The root is bankrupt. Patience is the herbicide. Cost over the full campaign, about 12 cents per plant. Running total for all 8 weeds, 47 cents. Less than $1. Less than the sales tax on a bottle of the stuff in the lawn aisle. And here's the part that changes everything. Because the real secret was never the recipe. Everybody's grandmother had a version of this recipe.
The real secret is how the Amish use it. The Amish don't have a weed problem. Say that again, because it matters. They don't have a weed problem. They have a Monday chore. Twice a year. That's it. Once in late May, once in mid-July. They mix up 5 gallons of the recipe. Grocery vinegar for the easy stuff. Horticultural vinegar for the tough stuff. They walk the property. The whole property. Driveway, fence line, garden edges, barn perimeter, sidewalk cracks. Anywhere a weed has poked through, it gets a spray. 90 minutes. 5 gallons. Done. The next week, they walk it again. Hit whatever's still standing. 30 minutes that time. Maybe less. The tough ones get a third pass 2 weeks later. But by the end of June, the property is clean. And it stays clean because they caught everything before it went to seed. That's the whole system. Not a battle. Not a war. Not an ongoing struggle with nature. A chore. Like sweeping the barn. Like fixing a fence post. You see it, you deal with it, you move on with your day. The mentality shift is the real Amish contribution here. Most Americans look at weeds and see an enemy. Something to fight. Something that requires products and professionals, and an ongoing budget line in the household expenses. The Amish look at the same weeds and see a task. A small, cheap, boring task that takes an hour and a half twice a year. 5 gallons of the recipe costs about $8 if you're using some horticultural vinegar in the mix. Less if you're all grocery store vinegar. 2 batches a year. Call it $16. That's the annual weed control budget. $16. For an entire property. For the whole year.
Now, think about what the average American spends. A jug of Roundup concentrate runs $15 to $20, and most people buy 2 or 3 a season. A single visit from a lawn care service runs $75 to $150. A bag of pre-emergent granules, $20. Spot treatments, another $10. By the end of the year, the average homeowner has spent $150 to $300 on weed control. Some of them spend more. And next year, they do it all over again. Same weeds, same products, same money. $16 versus $200. Over 10 years, that's $160 versus $2,000. The difference buys a used riding mower, or a weekend trip, or 10 years of weed-free property with money left over. Remember the beginning of this video? We talked about that wall of bottles in the hardware store. $14, $22, $38. Warning labels. Hazmat language. Keep children away for 48 hours. And we stood in front of that wall and asked a simple question. Does the $2 version actually work? Now you know. Crabgrass, 1 spray, 12 hours, 5 cents. Chickweed, 1 spray, same evening, 3 cents. Purslane, 1 spray, next day, 3 cents. Clover, 1 spray, soak it, 48 hours, 4 cents. Plantain, 1 or 2 sprays, 4 cents. Dandelion, 2 sprays 10 days apart, 6 cents. Creeping Charlie, 3 sprays over 3 weeks, 10 cents. Thistle, 4 sprays over a month, 12 cents. 8 weeds, 1 recipe, 47 cents total. And the Amish do their entire property for $16 a year. One thing to keep honest. This recipe handles everything that grows in a crack, a lawn, or a garden bed. Every common weed you'll run into. But if something has a woody trunk, if you're dealing with an established vine or a perennial shrub that's been growing for years, a spray bottle isn't your tool. For those, you need a saw, not a recipe. This handles the weeds. It handles all of them. But it knows what it is. And remember, salt on hardscape, good. Salt in the garden, disaster. When you're spraying near anything you want to keep growing, drop the salt from the recipe. Vinegar and dish soap only. That kills the weed without poisoning the soil for next season. Out of everything we covered today, one thing keeps coming back. It's not the recipe. Everybody can mix vinegar and salt. The thing that sticks is the way the Amish think about it. Not as a problem, as a chore. 90 minutes twice a year. $16 total. No drama, no products. No lawn care subscription. Just a spray bottle, a sunny Monday morning, and the willingness to walk out there and hit what's still standing. That's it. That's the whole thing. Now, which one of these 8 weeds is taking over your yard right now? Drop it in the comments. Tell me which one. I want to know if crabgrass is as common as I think it is,
or if thistle is ruining more people's weekends than anybody admits. If this video saved you a trip to the hardware store, hit that like button. And if you know someone who's been dumping money into weed killer every summer, send them this video. $2 and a spray bottle. They deserve to know. 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. That means YouTube won't show them the next one. Subscribing